ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So here we find further it is explained about the exalted position which Mother Devahuti was able to attain by her constant absorption in the Supreme Lord. Nitya arudha samadhitvat. Nitya means always. Nitya arudha, always situated in what? Mother Devahuti was always situated in samadhitvat, always situated in trance of remembering the Supreme Lord. If this happens, it is the perfection of our life. In the beginning, the remembrance of the Lord is interrupted by the modes of material nature. Constantly, it is very difficult to remember the Supreme Lord. And that is why sadhana bhakti plays a very important role. Rupa Goswami has given a principle how to train the mind to remember the Lord constantly. येन केन प्रकारेण मनः कृष्णा निवस्ये. Somehow or other, we have to try to engage the mind in remembering Krishna. Manah Krishna nivasyet. Put the mind on Krishna somehow or other. This also follows the advice which Lord Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita. In our conditional life, when we are conditioned by three modes of material nature, Mamasmarena yudhyacha, remember me and do your duties also. So, by doing this, one will be always able to keep his mind on Krishna. In spiritual life, as it is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 9 different ways of practicing devotional service. Actually, any way, if one practices, let us say by Shravanam itself, one can become completely liberated and attain perfection in devotional life. All limbs, or by Kirtanam. Just like we find the example, Prabhupada says, Parikshit Maharaj obtained the perfection of his life by Shravanam alone. Shukdev Goswami obtained perfection of his life by Kirtanam. Bali Maharaj obtained the perfection of his life by Atma Nivedanam. Many devotees by their different other limbs. Mother Lakshmi by serving the lotus feet of the Lord. Pada Sevanam. Correct? But in Kali Yuga, we are so conditioned. We require variety. Actually, spiritual life is filled with variety. Just like by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one can realize all varieties in spiritual life just by chanting. One can realize the name, pastimes, guna, qualities of the Lord. That is why it is said, Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. The holy name of the Lord is Rasa Vigraha. It is personified mellows with Krishna. And actually, the most important limb of devotional service in Kali Yuga is Shravanam and Kirtan. To chant the holy name of the Lord and to hear the holy name. But then, Srila Jiva Goswami, understanding that people in Kali Yuga will not be able to fully take up to chanting the holy name of the Lord, like Haridas Thakur, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended Kirtaniya Sada Harihi. Always one should chant the holy name of the Lord. And we find Srila Haridas Thakur, he would chant 3 lakh names of the Lord daily. So, because that is Yuga Dharma in Kali Yuga. Either chanting our prescribed number of rounds or Kirtana and hearing those. But Srila Jiva Goswami, he says, in this age of Kali Yuga, in order to purify our mind quickly, so that one can come to the position of chanting and hearing properly, one should also take to deity worship. See. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, Bhagavata Vidhi and Panchratrik Vidhi both should go in parallel lines. Otherwise, in Kali Yuga, actually Bhagavat Vidhi is enough. But in the name of Bhagavat Vidhi, in the name of chanting, we find people imitate Srila Haridas Thakur and actually become debauchees. So, practical engagement for our senses is very important. Acharya means one who can adjust the different practices in such a way that one will always be able to remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. Because that is the most important guideline. Always remember Krishna. That is the essence of all regulative principles. Why are we doing Mangalarati? Why are we doing chanting the 16 rounds, Darshanarti, Bhagavatam class? Isn't it? Why not only chant 16 rounds and be happy? Why all these different things are required? Sometimes devotees feel also why all these things are required. I gave to my spiritual master, I will chant 16 rounds daily and I will follow 4 regulative principles. Where did I say I will attend Mangalarati daily? Isn't it? One may think like this. But actually, we do not understand that all these different regulations are given by the spiritual master so that we will be able to remember Krishna always. At the time of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or at the time of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, if you cannot chant every day 64 rounds minimum, you are fallen. So you will not be able to remember Krishna always. But seeing the very fallen condition of Kali Yuga, especially the Westerners and we Indians who are also following the Westerners. We are in the race of becoming Westernized. Srila Prabhupada reduced the number of rounds from 64 to 16. But that does not mean that by reducing those rounds, now we will not be able to remember Krishna always. It is according to time, desha, kala and patra. The expert spiritual master may change some of the practices here and there without changing the principle. Principle is not that you have to chant this many number of rounds. That is not the principle. Haridas Thakur was able to chant 3 lakh names of the day, every day. He took that vow. Raghunath Das Goswami would offer dandavats, prescribed number of times minimum every day. Isn't it? So, it was possible for them. So, Sankhya, as it is said in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the expert spiritual master fixes the Sankhya, the number of rounds which his disciples should chant. So, we find that all these different limbs in devotional life, getting up early in the morning, then coming for Mangalarati, chanting our rounds, then Darshanarati. Just see how Srila Prabhupada has packed our sadhana with so many different varieties. See, there is Mangalarati, there is Darshanarati, there is Tulsi Puja, there is Narsimha Arati, there is Bhagavatam class, isn't it? So, if we can just try to follow the schedule as it is given by Srila Prabhupada, one will be always able to remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. And if we try to make shortcut thinking, no, just chanting 16 round is what I have promised to Prabhupada, I did not say that I will attend Bhagavatam class. So, this is all. If I find time, I will attend. If I don't find time, I will not attend. Isn't it? We think like this. But we don't understand that actually all these different programs are transcendental plan given by Srila Prabhupada to make us fully Krishna conscious. Like we are seeing Mother Devahuti. Now she is to the point of complete absorption in Krishna. That is the final goal. In the beginning, in our neophyte stage, these regulative principles help us to somehow or other put our mind on Krishna. When it becomes spontaneous devotional service, then we don't require somehow or other. Then it is spontaneous. See, this is very important for all devotees to understand. Sometimes devotees say, Prabhu, I don't have taste. Where taste will come? Taste is not so easy. Isn't it? Just like Rupa Goswami is saying, Lolyam tatra ekale mulyam. Intense eagerness is the price you have to pay. But then he says it is not very easy. Thousands of lives of Sukriti you may have done, still you may not get. So he is saying, if you are able to get it somewhere, purchase it immediately. Because not very easy. That is what is required. So this spontaneous attachment for Krishna's service, for the programs, whatever Srila Prabhupada has given, glorifying Krishna. What are we doing actually? Morning to evening. Most important aspect of devotional service, Shravanam and Kirtanam. Our life is filled with that. And along with that, parallelly, deity worship. See how carefully Srila Prabhupada has given all the important principles to make us fully Krishna conscious. If somebody has full faith and sincerely, whether I have taste, I have distaste, we simply try to follow, there is no doubt anartha nivritti will happen and we will develop taste. Now anarthas are there. When our tongue is coated, you cannot taste sugar candy. Your disease must get over. Then you will get taste. So if you stop taking medicine, forget it. never your disease will be over, never you will get taste. Years will pass. Years will pass. So what is required is a strong determination. I will follow the prescription given by Prabhupada. He is an expert physician who has understood our material disease to cure us of Bhavaroga. It is very important. So here you can see Mother Devahuti, Nitya Arudha Samadhitva, by following the instructions of Lord Kapila. Now she has come to the point of always being situated. Prabhupada translates Nitya as eternal, completely, without any interruption. So in our stage, Maya gives lot of interruptions. Our work is somehow or other not to get distracted by Maya and just keep on doing our services. As it is enjoined by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Nectar of Instructions. He says, if we can do 6 things, Utsaha, Nishchaya, Dhairyat, Tat Karma Pravartanat. Keep doing your daily duties as given by the spiritual master, all with Utsaha, Nishchaya and Dhairya. See, our regular duty should never stop. Tat Karma Pravartana. And then along with that, Sanga Tyago Sato Vritte Shadbhir Bhaktir Prasiddhyati. So if we can do this, then actually our devotional service will keep on increasing. And then the time will come when all anarthas are gone and we will have spontaneous attraction for Krishna, His holy name. Wherever we find opportunity to hear about Krishna, we will not think that something else is more important. We will not think something else is more important. So these are all very essential things. Nitya Arudha Samadhitva. So being situated in eternal trance. So what happens when somehow or other one will become situated without any interruption in the thoughts of the Lord? Paravritta Guna Brahma. Brahma means illusion. And how is this illusion caused? It is caused by Guna. So if we can understand, until and unless 3 modes of material nature will stop acting on me, Brahma will never go. So we have to become free from influence of 3 modes of material nature. Brahma is caused by Maya, and Maya is acting through these 3 modes of material nature. Interaction of these 3 modes, influence of these 3 modes of material nature on us causes Brahma. When influence of Sattva Guna is there, I feel I am very peaceful, I am very happy. When influence of Rajoguna is there, we feel very passionate. When influence of Tamo Guna is there, we feel very lazy, not responsible. So it's always there. And when we get out of influence of 3 modes of material nature, then we understand I have nothing to do with this material body. I am eternal servant of Krishna. So, Paravritta Guna Brahma. How this influence of 3 modes of material nature and the illusion caused by them, how will it will disappear? when our mind is constantly engaged in service of the Lord, in the thoughts of the Lord, then it is possible. Then what happens further? Na sasmara tada atmanam. Next thing what will happen is, you'll completely forget about this material body. If we are still conscious of different necessities of the body, we should understand we are conditioned. And when we forget about this body and the necessities of this body, then we should understand we have already become liberated. No more dependent on this body. Then we are in liberated state. So, Narottam Das Thakur says this, Deha smriti nahi yaar, samsara bandhan kahatar. One who has forgotten his body, Deha smriti nahi yaar. That means one is so much absorbed in Krishna, he forgets about eating, sleeping, all these things. All of them become completely reduced. We see that in the life of Raghunath Das Goswami. You see, how do we do austerity? We do austerity by thinking, today I will not take 2 times food. Today I will take up to 12 o'clock. I will do little fasting. For them it is not like that. They are so much absorbed in service of Krishna, they have no time. They don't have to think, I have to do austerity. Raghunath Das Goswami is not thinking, I will take only buttermilk. He is not thinking like that. He is so absorbed, he has no time. So he is able to do with just, okay, in 2-3 days, he was able to take little buttermilk. That is sufficient for him. Isn't it? You don't take, let us see how many of us will be able to practice. How many of you will be able to chant your 16 rounds also. 2 days, no food. Isn't it? We cannot do. So, Deha Smriti Nahiyar Samsara Bandhan Kahatar. So, Prabhupada says, what is the meaning of this? One who has no desire and is not anxious to maintain the body, and who is satisfied in any condition, he should be considered liberated. So Prabhupada says there may be 2 things. One who is not conscious of this body or not anxious to maintain this body, either he is mad or he is liberated. Madman also he is not anxious to maintain his body, isn't it? So either one can be a madman or one can be completely liberated. So I'll read from and then what happens finally, it is explained, Swapne drashtum iva uttitha. How does one forget this vismriti about this body? How does it come? Just exactly like when you get up from the sleep, you never remember what all dreams body you had, right? You know it is not factual. You don't remember them. Similarly, one who has awakened in Krishna consciousness, he becomes completely indifferent to the necessities of body. Of course, as we had earlier discussed, it is not that because this body is a machine, it is working, it will have its action. It will walk, it will sit down, it will evacuate, all those things will be there. But the person inside the body, he is completely detached from the action of that body. Understanding that it is only Prakriti or the Supreme Lord, under his direction this body is acting. And he is not associated with those actions. He is called as Jivan Muktasa Uchyate. One who has completely utilized his mind, his body, his words, completely in the service of the Lord, he must be considered that even while living in this body, he is liberated. See? So I'll just read about Raghunath Das Goswami, just few verses from Chaitanya Charitamrita, glorifying how he was completely detached from the necessities of body, being absorbed always in following the words of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ananta guna Raghunathera ke kahibe lekha, Raghunathera niyama yena pashanera rekha. Pashana means stone. The regulative principles followed by Raghunath Das Goswami were like lines on stone. That means which cannot be erased. Lines on stone cannot be erased. So, who could list the unlimited transcendental attributes of Raghunath Das? His strict regulative principles were exactly like lines on a stone. So Prabhupada says, Raghunath Das Goswami could not be changed under any circumstances. Next. साढ़े सात प्रहारा याया कीर्तना स्मरणे आहार निद्रा छारी दंडा सेह नाहे कोन दिने. See how he spent his time. This is very important. Raghunath Das spent more than 22 hours out of every 24 chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra and remembering the lotus feet of the Lord. He ate and slept for less than an hour and a half, and on some days that was also impossible. This is the meaning of Deha Smriti Nahiyar. Forgets completely about this body and its necessities. So much absorbed. 22 hours nearly absorbed in chanting the holy name of the Lord and remembering the lotus feet of the Lord. Next. Vairagyera katha tandra adbutha kathana ajanmana dila jifhaya rasera sparshana. Topics concerning his renunciation are wonderful. Throughout his life, he never allowed his tongue sense gratification. Then next, he never touched anything to wear except a small torn cloth and a patchwork wrapper. Thus he rigidly executed the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he was in renounced order of life also. Next. Whatever he ate was only to keep his body and soul together, and when he ate, he would reproach himself thus. You see, this is a sign of a liberated person. Whenever he would go even to take little rest to keep the body and the soul together, because this body follows a material principle. You see? So, how he would chastise himself. If one's heart has been cleansed by perfect knowledge and one has understood Krishna, the Supreme Brahman, he then gains everything. Why should such a person act like a debauchee by trying to maintain his material body very carefully? He would chastise himself. So this is a verse which is spoken by Narada to Yudhishthir Maharaj, how a person in Grahastha life can become liberated. With respect to that, he spoke to him. So in the purport, Prabhupada says, on the spiritual platform, one does not unnecessarily care for the body. One who is spiritually situated does not think that he is the body. Therefore, he can transcendently execute severe penances in renounced order of life. The best example of such renunciation is Raghunath Das Goswami. Because he understands I am not this body. So he is able to execute this kind of severe penances. Then, Lord Jagannatha's prasadam is sold by shopkeepers, and that which is not sold decomposes after 2 or 3 days. All the decomposed food is thrown before the cows from Telanga at the Simhadwara gate. Because of its rotten odor, even cows cannot eat. At night, Raghunath Das would collect that decomposed rice, bring it home, wash it with ample water. Then he ate the hard inner portion of the rice with salt. So we find, and more continues about this. So we can see in the life of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami that he was completely liberated from the pangs of material, different kinds of conditions of life. Like we have hunger, we have thirst. All these are different things which actually are an awkward position for a conditioned soul. But when one becomes completely liberated, he is no more attached to this body at all. And this is exactly what we see even in the life of Mother Devabhuti. So you can imagine actually what a freedom it is. Now we are so much dependent on this body. Bodies demand, minds demand, our thoughts demand. So much we are enamored. Little problem happens, we feel we cannot execute devotional service, isn't it? Little things, little adjustment we are not able to do. Imagine how much we have become dependent on this body. So you can imagine the freedom one gets when one becomes liberated from this material body itself. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki